Alright, now that the quality is lowered back to normal, you're gonna have to deal with low quality. Oh, I was the one that got disconnected from my own stream, so I lowered the quality. But this time there shouldn't be any interruptions. Alright. I'll begin with custom attacks and custom specials. And we're gonna use Brawlbox for the meantime. But first of all, oh yeah, the newest version of Project Smash Attacks, moveset editing, oops, version 1.3a can actually edit items and characters that have been edited in Brawlbox, so that's pretty neat. And just for animation's sake, whoops. And now for the sake of the custom attack tutorial, the animation isn't going to be top quality. Now, that was just some project that I wanted to do, balancing all the items to make them not so unfair and broken. Alright, let's say you wanted... Let's say you wanted Mario's... to change Mario's up tilt to something custom. See, some animations you can cheat, kind of like quote cheat, with making a pose into the animation and then having it play out. But for simplicity's sake of this tutorial, I'll just be using from one pose to the first frame of idle to and ending it on the last. Sorry. Every single animation has to end either as close to or exactly the same pose as frame 1 on your character's weight 1. And if your character is falling in the air, or does an air attack, it has to end at the same pose as frame 1 of the fall animation. But let's change Mario's up tilt to something like really basic. Now, since it's frame 1, you can copy the translations, the rotations, and the scale of all bones. Sorry, and let's see, I'll just now don't expect anything quality since this is just extremely basic at the moment. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, okay, and for the last frame, you don't need a trans rotation or scale unless, you edited the translations of any of the other bones that aren't the hip end. So like, if you were porting an animation for the last frame of your animation, you would copy only the rotation for transform all, and only copy the translation for transform frame. Yeah, look at that majestic, poorly done animation. But let's see. Oh yeah, also one thing to note, regardless if your animation is good or not, make sure that, like, your characters, if they're attacking with something, make sure that it is going to, like, hit with precision. And in this animation's case, it's not going to hit so well. So what you would do is try editing the best you can. Your hitbox is on the X and or Y plane when it's out. The Z axis, it might hit, but try to make your hitbox is go on the X and Y axis. Though unless if it's like a sweeping kick, then the Z axis is fine. Now see, in this case, it's a bit better, since the hitbox would be coming out here, but since the arm does a little thing, you can edit that, and it would hit with much more precision. And since Mario does use scale in some of his attacks, you can go ahead and use scale in his attacks. But try not to make the scale too much. And figure out which things you would like to scale. So when using scale, you need to do more than just have the scale at frame 1, and you must make sure that at the end of your animation that your character's scale for certain bones is set to 1. But note of knowing when to scale and when to end the scale. Since this animation isn't of top quality, it's pretty difficult to tell. So let's just say that it will end here, just for the heck of it. And also, if you do have it on frame 1 and then you have it later on, you'll need to make that transition from one scale to up or down a bit quickly, since here the scale will slowly go from 1 to its destination. So like if it's an attack, like have it maybe about, let's see, the minimum, like maybe try having it like, the minimum might be like 3, 2, or 1. Some characters have very quick scale movements, so in this case we'll have it start on frame 6. Oh yeah, and also make sure that you clear the scale if it starts out at 1, or else you'll have issues. The scale will fluctuate all over the place until it gets to the first keyframe. So, let's see. And let's check the chat. No, bone movement, yeah, a lot of animation programs have issues with bone rotations randomly freaking out. And to my surprise, Maya doesn't, Maya also has that issue. What version of Maya? Alright, and let's go ahead and save this. And also, since this isn't version 0.68b, you would close out. And now on to custom hitboxes, like making your own custom attack, your own frames, that sort of stuff. See here, if you don't edit it at all, it'll just use the hitboxes and frames. So with your custom animation, with Mario's V-Brawl up tilt hitbox timers and hitboxes, you're not gonna have a good time. So what you need to do is figure out when your hitbox starts. In this case, this animation would start at like frame 10 or so. And for some reason, make sure you have it one frame before the actual. So if your hitbox starts on frame 10, you would code it to start at frame 9. And of course I told you about sync and async timers. So since it starts on frame 10 technically, but you do use the calculations from here. So it would last 7 frames after frame 10. So it would So it'd be technically frame 17. So if you really want to be precise, you can use async timer. In that case, it would exactly terminate on frame 17 rather than having it go through 7 frames. Since this animation, let's have it end on frame 19. There we go. Oh yeah, also allow interrupt will allow you to interrupt your current action with any move. And since this is just a very basic attack, let's just have the interrupt on frame 19. Actually, frame 20. Oh yeah, and if your hitbox is like, now before you actually edit the translations and the hitboxes themselves, look at your timers and make sure that the hitboxes look right for you, for their timers. And if it doesn't, then just edit them. Now, if you watched my previous lesson, you'll be able to know some of the things I'm talking about here. But, let's see. For character attack hitboxes, try seeing if you can find your frame in which the arm or the leg or the body is outstretched the farthest it can be. In this case, you're going to need to do a little editing. And make sure you don't make your hitboxes too small, or else they won't even hit at all. And don't hesitate to make your hitboxes seem unrealistic, because if you do have your hitboxes realistic, they're not gonna hit. This is what's called a disjointed hitbox in a way. Now in this case, the hitboxes match the animation a bit better. But damn it. Let's say you wanted, see, like in this case, it seems a bit impractical. Let's say you wanted the hitbox to start out small, then get gradually bigger. In that case, let's see. We would like to have the hitbox for this bone start out at 2. Start out a 2. And then gradually get bigger at like say frame 14. what you would do is put an async timer if you want exact, or a sync timer of 5, since 9 plus 5 is 14. Now you'd use 2 commands for moving and resizing your bone. That would be move hitbox, wait, hang on. Shoot. I swore there was a command, but in this case, if you wanted to resize it, you would copy the exact hitbox you wanted to edit, put that in, and then do the needed edits. But these 2 hitboxes share the same ID, so you're not going to get multi-hits. So when the attack starts, you'll see the initial hitbox, and then once it reaches the certain timer, that hitbox is going to grow. You can do the same thing with decreasing it, moving the hitboxes around, etc. And also, this sort of thing is what all lingering attacks use for something that's called a sex kick, which is an attack that gets weaker over the duration of the attack. Like Mario's dash attack, for example. It starts off strong, then after a few frames, it gets weaker. That's how you balance out lingering moves. In this case, this hitbox lasts for about 9 frames, which is pretty long. So what you could do, for balance sake, or unless if your attack is already weak, then in that case you won't need to do anything. If you want to keep your hitboxes the same, you would need to do the change hitbox damage command. Oh, shoot. Looks like there was. So you can either use multiple change hitbox commands to change one hitbox, or you can just copy and paste it. But in this case, for damage, you would just use the change hitbox damage. If you wanted to keep the hitboxes knockback, shield damage, trajectory, knockback growth, size, everything else the same, but you only wanted to change damage, you would do that. The hitbox ID is the ID used, so in this example case, this hitbox right here would do 0 damage after 5 frames. So let's make it 5. And once the terminate collisions command is reached, every single hitbox will terminate. So the attack will no longer hit. And in this case, we'll just use the same attack flags and everything else. You're also going to want to match up any GFX or any SFX. So originally Mario started on frame 4, you would have it on frame 9. And also, for slow attacks, if you want to speed it up a little without editing the actual animation, you would put in a frame speed modifier command. With the default being 1, that would be multiplying the amount of frames it takes to get to the main destination. Like, say you wanted to increase, like, half it, you would put 2, and that way it would reach frame 9 2 times the speed. So rather than take 9 frames, it would take 4.5 frames in order for the actual hitbox to start. And you can either do one of two things. You can keep it at the same speed, or you can decrease it by making it back to 1 or 1.5, which would make the transition from frame 9 to 5 frames forward. That would make it about 3 frames rather than 5. If you want to decrease it further back to 1, it'll make the animation speed back to normal. In this case, the move will start out fast and gradually get slower. Now this is also important. The slope commands aren't really well known. Same goes for the rumble commands. But in this case, slope contour full, if it has a value of 6, that means both characters' feet will be on the ground. So if your character has a jumping animation, but this is like a slope contour full, will have your character's entire body slope sideways if on a slope. If just using a basic slope command, slope contour stand, that would only affect the feet of the character. Slope contour stand 4 will make sure the right foot is on the ground. Slope contour stand set at 2 will only affect the left foot. If it's set to 6, it will affect both feet. If it's set to 0, the character can move off the ground without their feet being stuck on the ground. That's what characters do for if their leg is lifting up, if they're kicking, if they're jumping, that sort of stuff. So in this case, that value is 0, so the character's feet won't be affected. And on frame 19, his feet will return. So, like, this frame, his legs would stretch to try to land on the ground, resulting in your character's legs doing weird things. So if your character is near the ground or on the ground, like say you wanted the slope to go on frame 22, you'd make it frame 21. And also again, if your character uses the trans end bone and it doesn't revert back to 0, you would make sure the move's character is selected. But for a normal attack, side tilt, jab, the trans end can only be moved horizontally. It can't be moved vertically without doing some extra work. And here we have our custom attack, and though before I put this in and test, I'll show you custom specials. Like a basic custom special and alongside I'll show you a pseudo projectile, which is basically a false projectile. Let's see, let's say you wanted to make Mario's side tilt shoot out something for whatever reason. Now, this is assuming that you don't have any projectiles to use. In a sense, like, you want the cape to come out. Like, say, near frame 11. Let's just ignore those. What you would do... Oops. Yeah, that's frame 11. Make sure that your hitbox and graphics for your false projectile is on your character's throw end bone. In Mario's case, it's bone 62. Oh, this is a basic offensive collision. If you want your false projectile to be able to be stopped by reflectors, such as a Franklin badge or Fox's reflector, you would need to use a special offensive collision. Oh yeah, and for this case, if a false projectile, it will be connected to your character, so it's not a real projectile. So if your attack were to clang with another hitbox from far away, then your character all the way back would suffer from the hit lag. So to be safe, you can make the clang false if you like, but then that will overpower other hitboxes. Which, in a false projectile's case, it can go through walls, it goes through characters. That's rather unbalanced. But that's not what we're about right now. And usually what projectiles use is typeless. Well, I mean like Lucario's Aura Sphere. Mario's, I think, is energy. I'm not sure, but that's only for subspace stuff. I'm not sure what this does. Now, the re-hit rate of a special offensive collision, this dictates if your special hitbox will refresh or not, enabling multi-hits on a single collision without having a loop with the same collision over and over. In this case, if you wanted your hitbox to hit multiple times, you would set it to something to at least one. But actually, nah, just to show, I'll lower the damage and change to flag to not freezing. And this is important as well. This will dictate what your hitbox will be able to hit. Some of it is self-explanatory, some of it is unknown. Like here, damageable ceilings. Can it damage a ceiling? Yes. Though every single special hitbox usually has all of these set to true. For the most part. Now down here, this is a bit different. Angle flipping, I'm not entirely sure what that does. Can be absorbed means that the hitbox or projectile can be absorbed by Ness or Lucas's PK. They're down special. In this case, it would be set to true. Can it be reflected? In this case, it would be true. Can it be shielded? Yes. This here would make sure if it's set to false, it will power through shields and hit them regardless. Flinchless is used for attacks like Fox's laser, and not laser, his blaster, or attacks with wind hitboxes. Hitting gripped character is what's used for grab attacks and throws with hits. Ignores invincibility. It will ignores a character's invincibility. Like if they have a Starman, it'll hit them. Puts to sleep, I think, is self-explanatory. I think. Though some characters with wind hitboxes has this set to true, but in this case it's not a wind hitbox. Stretches is if the hitbox is stretching or not, like Lucario's Final Smash. I'll show you an example. In this case, if it's stretching, the hitbox will hit here all the way to here. If the stretch effect isn't set, then it will only hit here. Now in this case, without any throw end movement, it will just sit there static. Same goes for any effects that are attached to it. And let's say you wanted this hitbox to last outside the boundaries of these two initial collisions. Like you wanted this hitbox to outlast these two. What you would do is add in the delete hitbox command. And then you can move your terminate collision somewhere else. So in this case, the original hitboxes leave, and this hitbox stays until the terminate collisions event is triggered. But even if these two hitboxes are away, and that hitbox is still there, and your attack hit before, that's not going to hit. So in this case, what you'd possibly like to do is maybe have your hitbox have a re-hit rate of maybe every few frames, like 5 or something. But if you wanted a single hit, then you would have to delete these two. But for this sake, we're having it multi-hit. Now let's see, for the sake of it, let's move the throw end up. Have it in a starting position. Make sure that's gone. Oh yeah, and in this case of throw N, it doesn't matter if you have it decide to end or not. Now in this case, the hitbox here, it would stay in that exact throw N location, and unless if you move it or not, it'll stay there. But in this case, we are moving it, so we're gonna like triple it, 45. And as you can see, the hitbox will travel on its own while the character stays stationary, kind of like what a hitbox does. I mean, kind of like what a projectile does, but in this case it's a false projectile. So if a reflector hits it, it'll just keep going rather than reverse its direction. It's impossible to do so. I mean, it's impossible to make a pseudo projectile reverse its direction. And now, for this sake, let's save and test. Oh yeah, and make sure that you save your animation file as well, if you make any edits prior. Now let's look at the chat before I put everything in. No, frame 0 is not the first frame. Frame 0 is the character's T-pose. Frame 1 is the very first frame. And for the sake of showcasing, I'll be turning the music in the game off, or at least lowering the volume. Just gotta wait for everything to load up and stuff. Let's go ahead and go to someone like Ness. Now let's take a look at our beautiful custom attack, our very basic attack. So balanced, isn't it? And in basic. As you can see, it originally does 7 damage. See on the damage right here. Or custom special. Oh yeah, if your pseudo projectile has hit lag on it, then your character will also suffer vulnerable if they sit still. This is a very nifty substitute, since it's impossible to add articles at this time. And let me show you the effects. Now, let's wait for the Franklin badge to come off so I can show you the absorption stuff. Alright, and let's see, what else did I promise? Well, since there's like about half an hour left, let's see, I'll show you attribute editing, article floating points, and multiple actions in one. Let's see, now in Brawlbox's case, editing attributes and article floating points is fairly easy. Let's say you wanted to make Mario like really fast. The higher the actually let me go through these attributes. Walk initial velocity is you can see basic explanations down here. So in this case, we're going to want to focus on run initial velocity if you want to like make Mario faster. And if you want to make him have like 6 jumps or whatever. Oh yeah, and make sure you do the same thing to subspace, since subspaces vary as well. And that's self-explanatory. Now for article floating points. Various variables. Now in Brawlbox and also article floating point editor, which I'll show you, which I'll show the basics of if you want to not use Brawlbox. But if it's unknown or something, sometimes Dentarian's wiki might have it, and while whoops. This is Smash Brothers, not Pokemon. I mean, as much as I'd love to link everyone here, due to some dispute that people wouldn't want to hear or wouldn't know of, some sort of dispute made a link on the forums redirect to somewhere, so I'll just link it in the chat. And in this case, we're going to look for Mario. In here, let's see. Oh yeah. Sometimes you might not find something here in this area. Oh yeah, I've completely forgot about quality sucking. So I gotta zoom in. Like for a projectile, like Mario's fireball, that would be in. Whoops, no. That's his cape. You also have to find which article Mario uses. Like, Article 0 is his cape. Article 1 is his fireball. Article 2 is his flood. Article 3 is Article 3 is the water that comes from it, and Article 4 is his final smash. But in this case, let's edit Mario's fireball to, like, edit his fireball to, let's edit it to be faster and stronger for the most part. Some of these are self-explanatory, some of them are not. And you can see if you match them up. Gravity, everything else. Let's just change, like, the duration. Let's make it 50. Oh yeah, in this case, the angle and sort of stuff is usually a negative or positive decimal number. And if you can see here, duration frames, initial angle radians, you're gonna need to do a bit of converting. Let's see, hexadecimal. Shoot. See, for the most part, the article floating point editor program for non-Brawlbox PSAs shows you better. I'll show you that after. In this case, you can see everything for Mario's fireball is in here. Its own collisions, its hitboxes, its graphics, its sound effects, its actions, the action flags. But it's not entirely recommended to go fiddling around with articles unless you either know what you're doing or just trying to make it stronger for the most part. Let's make it start out at 10 frames and make it eventually weaker. But in an article's case, like a projectile, most of them will terminate themselves upon hitting an opponent. And that, in order to make an article not terminate upon collision, that's apparently not possible at the moment. Whatever dictates that is either in the Sora melee, the character's rel, or somewhere hidden in the pack, in the moveset file. So in this case, let's just ignore it. I'll just go ahead and make this on the side special, the hit lag multiplier to 0. Oh yes, in this case, since it's a special and since it's in the air, I completely forgot about that. And since this uses different variables and different hitboxes, you would need to just basically, you can copy and paste. And I'll go ahead and go into now, when editing a moveset in Brawlbox, make sure you have the motion, etc. open before you move this in, or else you're going to have some issues. And just to make things easier, you can go all the way down to the action. And just find your animation. Damn it. I'm gonna have to cut this short. Oh wait, hang on. I'll just show it, then end the stream. Sorry about that. Mario goes fast. And in the case of false projectiles in the air, they'll move with you. So you can either use a snot, in that case, the stream's... I'm gonna have to end the stream for today. Another stream. And if things go well, hopefully we can have another stream next week. So, any questions before I leave? Actually, regardless, you can just ask those questions on my thread. For now, I'm gonna have to end.